Hey guys, what's up? It's Siren here with another deck profile. Today we're going to do this Mikasa Ackerman 1 list I took to Webcam Wednesday. I went 2-1. My one loss was to Ghidorah, and then my two wins were a Not 2 and a Ling. The Not 2 was under Chaos, the King Ghidorah was under Void, and the Ling was under Air. It's a really fun deck. It's very pony-esque. It's very turn to aggro. If you don't know, Mikasa Ackerman is a Survey Core, 7 hand size, 23 life. Response, discard a card after you play an attack. Clear one weapon card from your card pool. This attack gets +1 speed for each time you have played this ability this turn. And then response, commit a foundation. After your attack deals damage, draw a card. So again, very aggro focused, very push, 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 and try and kill on turn 2. But we have backup plans in case we can't. We don't want to hinge everything on just killing on that turn 2, right? So I want to go over our attacks first because they're really important to the deck, right? We're playing mostly weapons because that's what we can clear. But there are a couple of non-weapons in there just because we can clear the weapons and then we can play the non-weapons as finishers. The first weapon I want to talk about is Sweeping Daggers. This card is really hot right now. It's a 4 diff, 3 check, 1 mid block, 5 mid for 4. With Fury and Weapon. Blitz, remove an attack from your rival's discard pile. It basically gains all text on that card. And then Blitz, remove a card with dagger or daggers in its name from your discard pile. Your rival loses 1 health, right? So the issue with this card in this deck is, one, we don't mill them very much. Like, if we're trying to kill on turn 2, they haven't hit many discards, and if that makes sense. So we don't usually have a good copy target, or we might not have a copy target at all. And this is the only dagger, so we unfortunately don't have a ton of removal targets for the bottom Blitz. So at the end of the day, I think this card is going to get cut. It was a really cool addition. I'm glad I tried it, but I just don't think it works for this deck. Moving on, we've got our essentially like starter cards. I just wanted to go over Sweeping Daggers first because it's really important to the deck, and it's important that you understand why we're not playing that card anymore. These are our starters. The neat thing with this deck is your starters are extenders, and your extenders are also starters. But these are traditional starters. We've got Survey Core Teamwork, a 5 diff, 5 mid for 5, 3 check, 2 mid block with weapon and charge. Blitz your next 2 attacks this turn, get +1 speed and +2 damage for each of those attacks. You may change its zone after you play it. Really good starter. Again, it basically says our next 2 come in with extra stats. We can spam a block zone if we're holding a walk the dog or something. Anything like that. And then Blindside Slash. 4 diff, 3 check, 3 high for 4, 1 low block, stun 1, and weapon. Blitz. If it's completely blocked, it still deals 1 damage during the damage step. And then Response. Discard a card. At the start of your end phase, add this card to your hand. So the important thing here is we can commit a foundation with Mikasa. No matter if they block this Blindside Slash or not, we're getting to draw that card and we're going to keep going and pushing ourselves, right? We're going to keep pushing through and we're going to try and break through that wall. The bottom response does also come in handy. We used it during one of the games to pick it back up, so we had it for the next turn. And we just had it as a block too. We had a 3 low block in hand, so we pitched it and picked up the 1 low block. But those are the traditional starters. But again, any starter in this deck also is just any extender, and those extenders are 3 copies of Cage of Hell and 3 Lethal Slash. Lethal Slash is less of an ideal starter, but we can do something I'll get into in a little bit. But Cage of Hell is a great starter. 3 diff, 3 check, 1 low block, 0 low for 2. With the weapon, stun 1, and breaker 1. Enhance. Your next weapon attack this turn gets +3 speed and +2 damage. Enhance. Add this card to your momentum during the end phase. We're mainly focused on that top enhance and the stun 1 on it. It makes our next move big. We can play it in the middle of a string to deal with breaker. It just works very, very well for us. It kind of deals with all of our problems that we have with the deck being a string deck. Breaker hurts us. And it kind of baits them into taking it. You know, you don't want to waste a block on a 2 damage move, so we get to draw with Mikasa, right? Lethal Slash, what can I say? It's a 4 diff, 2 check, 1 mid block, 3 high for 4 with Fury and Weapon, Blitz, draw a card. Response after it resolves. After this attack resolves, if it was the second or greater card you played this turn, remove it. It clears itself, essentially. Now, obviously, this doesn't count towards Mikasa, but we're still drawing a card. We're basically getting a free clear. And the neat thing with this deck is you can play 1, go Lethal Slash, this kicks itself, and then Lethal Slash kicks itself. So you're playing with an empty card pool. So if you draw into a Survey Core Teamwork, you're not forced to play it on a 6. You can play it on that 5, right? And that's what I meant when I said these are both starters and extenders. Moving on to the finishers, though, we've got 3 Smokescreened Ambush, 3 Walk the Dog, and then our only non-weapon attack is Lunatieras. Starting with Smokescreened Ambush. Let's go over that one first. We've got a 4 diff 3 check, 3 mid for 4. 2 low block, weapon, keyword, blitzes attack gets +2 speed and +2 damage if it's the 3rd or greater card you've played this turn. What this then means is it's not really a 3 mid for 4 in our deck. It's a 6/9 mid for 6, right? Unless we've done things like Lethal Slash removal. This is hitting 9 mid for 6 easy. Once we hit that splits. It's a great finisher. Representing 6 damage is nothing to slouch at, especially when we're a string deck. So I can't say enough great things about this card. I am really glad I found it. Somebody turned me onto it, and I immediately was like, I need to be playing this at least at a 3-up. I think more than 3 gets a little cloggy, because you do want it to be that 3rd or greater, but otherwise, it's perfect. Next is, we're going to talk about Walk the Dog. Obviously, it's Walk the Dog, right? A quote-unquote 8 diff, 3 check, 6 low for 6, 2 low block with weapon range, then 1 in powerful 3. It gets -1 difficulty for each committed foundation in your rival stage, so sometimes we might not want to keep this, and we might want to pitch it on the review because they only built 3 foundations. But enhance, draw a card for each copy of Walk the Dog. It's more draw, it's more stun, it's powerful 3 for when we get momentum off of things somehow, and it helps us extend into the late game past just being that turn 1 deck. Like I said, we don't want to hinge everything on a turn 2 kill deck, and Walk the Dog really helps with that. Obviously, it helps in the turn 2 kill, it's potentially a 9 low for 6 on turn 2. You're not dealing with that very well, so. But otherwise, it kind of also helps us bait things out because it's a very threatening move. And then the only non-weapon is Lunatieras, a quote-unquote 6 diff, just like Walk the Dog, 6 low, or 6/3 check, 3 mid for 7, 3 mid block. It gets -1 difficulty for each card that has left your card pool this turn. The difference between this and Full Cowling Falling Roundhouse, which I was playing previously, is things like Lethal Slash now count for this, right? Not only is it a throw, not only does it have Deadlock Powerful 7, or Deadlock Powerful 4, not only does it get it really easy to play for us, but that -1 difficulty, that Lethal Slash will count for it. The other things, like if they kick something with Cape of No Return, that counts for it. Whereas Full Cowling Falling Roundhouse just didn't count those, so it kind of messed with our whole strategy, right? I think if you're not playing the Lethal Slash, Falling Roundhouse is better, but because we're wanting to play that Lethal Slash, we want to clear and kick our card pool. I just think this one is a better version of it. It represents big damage, it's a throw, so we don't have to deal with any of that. Yeah, I can't say enough great things. And it also automatically will proc Mikasa's response to draw, right? Now, speaking of that response to draw, we want good targets, right? We don't want to pick bad targets. We don't want to have to commit foundations that just stay committed. So first we've got 4 Defiant Stance. A 2 diff 5 check, 3 high block with response tenacious once per turn. After you commit this card to pay a cost, ready it. What this means is we can commit it with Mikasa, re-ready it, and then because we don't have anything that deals with this on our opponent's turn, we can commit this to pass checks afterwards, right? It's great. It's a 4 of staple in her. Realistically, I don't think you can cut it to a 3. Maybe you can cut it to a 3 and play something else like an incompatible quirks, but I personally really like 4 Defiant Stances. The next one is a little bit of an oddity. It's Levi's Relentless Spirit, a 3 diff 4 check 4 mid block. Response, Tenacious. After your attack deals damage to a character, you're ready this card. If this is the 3rd or greater time you've played this ability this turn, flip this card. And then Deadlock Enhance. Your attack gets +1 speed and +1 damage. So like I was talking about with Walk the Dog, we want to be able to push into that late game, right? We don't want it to solely be that we play only in the early game and that's it. We kind of die in the water if we don't make it. So this helps us punish them for going to deadlock against us, and it makes us keep extending, because how the game works is you can go commit Levi with Mikasa, right? Respawn Levi to re-ready, and then it's like you never committed anything at all. It's very similar to Defiant Stance, but we can do it multiple times in the turn. And then the last one is 2 copies of Nice Try. This is one of the pieces of defense in the deck. It's a 2 diff 5 check, 3 low block with the taunt keyword, enhance commit. This attack gets -2 speed. Response, after your rival's combat phase begins, ready this foundation. Playable while committed. Yeah, it just, we can commit it with Mikasa again, and then it re-readies on its own. It's -2 speed, so it helps us survive. We're a 7-hander, we're kind of squishy, not on the super squishy side, but not on the biggest side either, right? especially in this format. But I will say I think this card is great. I don't think I would put it above a 2 of personally, just because we want to very much focus. While we don't want to hinge everything on the turn 2, we want to make the turn 2 as consistent as possible, right? Moving into the other defensive piece of the deck, it is just 4 copies of class membership. I really like this card. It's a 0 diff 5 check, 3 high block with response flip. After you partially block an attack, gain 2 health. So we can bait out and we can wait and see. We can take the first hit, see if they're playing anything else. If they're not, we got to keep our cool cards and we got to keep things like Feral Shrieker or Walk the Dog. If they do, we can flip this to gain back health and it's like we didn't get hit in the first place, right? Uh, this takes us from a 23 life character into like a 28 life character. Uh, yeah, it's just the best defensive piece we can play. I think it will get cut to a 3 of for a destruction, a foundation destruction, but otherwise I would keep it at the 4. Moving into our discard target and our damage pump mainly. We've got 4 Mikasa's Admission and 3 Banshee Sword Shriek. Let's cover Mikasa's Admission first, though. It's a 1 diff 6 check, 2 mid block. Response, remove after you discard this card during the combat phase. This attack gets +2 or -2 damage. So we run a lot of draw, right? And a lot of that draw has draw and discard. What we can do, not only can we respond and discard it with Mikasa to get 2 damage, right? As you could expect. You can respond remove to give opponent's attack -2 damage with those draw and discard cards. Yeah, it's really good. It's a 6 check. It lets us extend. It lets us keep pushing, and that's the best thing that we can ask for. And then we've got 3 Banshee Sword Shriek, 0 diff 5 check, 3 mid block. Response flip after a weapon attack is played. It gets +2 or -1 damage. This is the foundation I was talking about a little bit earlier, where it was going to come into play with Lethal Slash. It is a weapon foundation, right? It has the keyword weapon on it. So what you can do is if you get breakered or anything like that, you can play this, and then you can play your attack, and then you can clear this. So if we played something like a Lethal Slash here, we can then respond with a Lethal Slash remove, play this to absorb the breaker, play another attack, this gets cleared, and it's like we never got breakered at all, right? And for that reason, I think it's great. It gives us extra damage. It punishes the weapon attack decks that we're playing against, which are obviously pretty prevalent. They're not really prevalent anymore, but it's still a nice thing to have just in our back pocket if we need it. Now, moving on to the flow or the draw, especially. Like I said with Mika's Admission, we have some really cool draw cards that we can use. So the first one is Personal Reload, a 1 diff 5 check, 3 high block. With first enhance, flip, discard a card, draw a card. Your ranged or open attack gets +1 speed. At the start of our turn, we're not moving very quickly with Mikasa, so this helps us accelerate and helps us makes them work for their blocks, right? It gives us speed. We can discard a card and draw a card. So if we drew into like Feral Shriek, Mikasa's Admission, we can discard both really easily. And it's a really good flow piece for us, honestly. Next is 3 copies of Fearsome Transformations. Another draw and discard, 1 diff, 5 check, 3 high block. Flip, draw a card. If you have no momentum, discard a card. Essentially the same as Personal Reload, just doesn't come with the speed bonus, but we get to keep our card and we get to draw first. Yeah, it's just more draw. I only play 3 of it because we want to focus more on the damage pump, right? Mikasa's already drawing us cards. It's pretty easy to get there. So it's really important that we don't overdo it on the draw cards. But if you wanted to just run a bunch of draw and just keep stringing out moves, that's more than you would probably just play the out of 4 of and the Personal Reload. The next flow piece, which is also draw, is Push the Advantage. 1 diff 5 check, 3 mid block. Response flip after you clear 1 or more cards from your card pool during the combat phase, draw a card. Mikasa is constantly clearing, right? We're constantly getting rid of the things in our card pool, so this is just a flip to draw cards. We don't care about necessarily how we're doing it, we're just drawing more cards. We want to find more cards so we have more stuff to discard with her, and we have more attacks to play from our hand. There are turns where I've started with 1 attack, played it, Fearsome, Personal Reload into another attack, played that, discarded a Feral Shriek, drew into another attack, played Push the Advantage, drew into more attacks, and that's how I started the whole turn. I started the turn with 1 attack, and by the end of the turn, they were probably dead, right? The next draw is Feral Shriek, just like I was saying. Remove after you discard 2 diff 5 check 3 high block. Response remove after you discard this card during the combat phase, draw a card, and then response after your rival's combat phase begins, draw a card and discard a card. Or discard a card and draw a card, excuse me. So it kind of lets us play out our hand as a 7-hander and not have to care. So if we draw this in our opening hand, we can just play it, and we're going plus in card economy, right? It's a +1 in card economy by the time if we go first or if we go second, and we somehow build out our whole hand. This is perfect, right? It's a must play. If I had 4, I'd be playing 4. I just don't own 4. The other flow piece that's really important is Mother's Embrace. A 1 diff 5 check 3 low block. Response tenacious. Flip after you clear a card from your card pool during the combat phase. Ready this card. It's a really simple effect, right? We're just clearing and we're rewriting it once per turn, essentially, once per game. But it's really important for the deck. It lets us play with 3 foundations like we have 6 or we have 7. And that's really important when we're trying to kill on turn 2, especially. And then the last foundation we've got is 3 copies of Life of Danger. We're running that 2 check, so we play this. It's a 0/5/3 mid block. Response flip after you check a 2 or less. That check gets +1. Not much else to say. It just lets us get around that 2 check. And even though we're not playing for the 2 check, it still can come up at times, so it's important to just keep it in the back pocket, and it's another 0 diff. But that is the deck profile. I hope y'all enjoyed. This is probably one of my favorite decks still currently. I know people kind of gave up on her after the errata, but I still think she's really good. I still think she's very playable, and I don't think there's any reason to not be playing her if you enjoy her playstyle. If you like Pony, but you don't like the hand management of Pony, this is a great alternative. But with that being said, I'll see y'all in the Cove next time. We've got some fun stuff coming up. AOT3 PR box. We've got Webcam Warriors, and we've got a LC that I'll be reporting back from on April 26th. Yes. But I'll catch y'all later. I'll see you in the Cove next time.